Good morning, everybody. Excuse me. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next few hours, along with Mike. Mike.
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, there you are.
You were up the whole time. That was Amnon's problem.
Yeah, it was my problem.
I get it.
And Nick is here.
You have to say Nick, or I can't say hi.
Morning. And
Hi, Nick.
Spence is going to
Oh, hey,
join us.
hey, Mike, how you doing?
Mike is going to, Spence is going to join us at about 10. He had something going on this morning. Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. Today's show is being brought to you by Adamus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals, and made possible by Telestream's Wirecast software, too. So what's happening?
Not a whole lot.
Well, it's Pirate Bay
I
shut
don't
down.
understand. I mean, it's suddenly...
It's back.
It's going
Already?
90%.
It is, yes.
Go ahead, Amnon.
I said suddenly it's going 90% CPU. I don't know.
It's because of Nick.
Yeah, because of Nick. Oh, maybe the mixer is not on. Yeah, okay.
No, sorry, guys, gotta go. Too much going on this morning.
Nick,
yeah,
so how you tell us about how your things are going with your office, the new office.
I haven't bet that nothing's changed since we last spoke. My uncle's still dealing with moving all of his. He does the manifold stuff. So he's got hundreds of machines that he's moving in, and so I haven't even bothered going over yet.
Well, that's when he needs you, Nick.
No, he hired a whole company to do it. The machines they're the size of 5 or 6 people. I mean, you can't do anything with them. No, I mean, I've been over there helping him, but I haven't done anything with like setting
Your
anything
part
up.
of it.
Exactly, because I'm trying to get him moved in because he's out of his old building and he needs to actually work.
Okay.
All right, so we were talking about the Pirate Bay.
It's back.
How can it be back already? Did they move to another country or something?
I have no clue, but the piratebay.cr
Oh, it's different.
Yeah, there was a story that some other organization brought it up.
But it's not really the Pirate Bay. Apparently, I'm following the Pirate Bay subreddit, which seems to have the most accurate information. It's apparently right now just a clone of Kick-Ass Torrents.
With a new name.
It's kind of just like a mirror of that, and then now like big Pirate Bay uploaders like Easy TV and people like that are re-uploading their content.
Yeah, I had never heard of these alternate sites. So what is it? Easy TV is one you just mentioned.
Well, Easy TV isn't an alternate site. It's a person that they upload every TV show that comes out in like almost every country, like the day after, hours after it's up. I don't know how they do it.
I'm not in favor of copyright infringement in any way, shape, or form because I own things that are protected by copyright, and I don't want people stealing them. But that being said, I know how motivated these people are who run these sites, and it just seems highly unlikely to me that these pirate sites will ever be shut down successfully. The internet is just too big.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems impossible.
This is why when people are talking about the government taking control of it, there's no way to take control of the internet, not unless you completely block the rest of the world from coming in, because
Right.
there's just no
Tell China.
way, and they don't
Well,
understand.
tell China that. China's got a whole bunch of stuff blocked.
Yeah, stuff still getting in. It's
And there's also the old pirate or the oldpiratebay.org, which is just a clone of the old Pirate Bay database. So, I don't really understand how the peer-to-peer stuff works with the database. To be honest with you.
I don't know either. But you know, whatever resources they have, whatever databases or
they're backed
however
up.
the site works is probably backed up 100 times in every country in the world.
Oh yeah, no, it's
right.
Getting it back will not be a problem. But the problem was that a lot of fake sites were spinning up. There was a lot of domains being purchased that were fake Pirate Bay clones that were trying to infect people.
Yeah, that's a holiday when it comes.
Exactly.
The Pirate Bay's co-founder, Pete Sunday, has subsequently intimated in a blog post that he hopes the site is gone for good. Quote, "News just reached me that the Pirate Bay has been raided again. That happened over 8 years ago last time. That time, a lot of people went out to protest and rally in the streets. Today, few seem to care, and I'm one of them. The Pirate Bay has become an institution that people just expected to be there. No one willing to take the technology further. The site was ugly, full of bugs, old code, and old design. It never changed except for one thing, the ads. More and more ads were filling the site, and somehow, when it felt unimaginable to make these ads more distasteful, they somehow ended up even worse. It feels good that it might have closed down forever. Just a real shame the way they did that. A planned retirement would have given the community time and a way to kick off something new, something better, something faster, something more reliable, and with no chance of corrupting itself, something that had a soul and could retain it." That sounds a little dramatic to me.
Sounds
kind of like sour grapes.
A little bit, but I mean, he's right in the sense of the Pirate Bay is an awful website. It's buggy as all get out. And there probably is a better technology, but everybody just kind of deals with what they're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, it's people. This cat is out of the bag. I mean, I would be surprised to ever see it go away forever, because there are just people out there who don't care about the law. There are other people who are convinced that they're smarter than the law. And there's some people who feel that they are invincible and that the law can't get to them. So when you have that many people pursuing that goal, at least one person at a time is probably going to have some level of success.
Yeah.
Hello, Steve. Hello, chat room.
everybody.
By the way, Jeff Bundy, I heard that you gave us a shout out on, heck. Dave Jackson's Ask the Podcast Coach yesterday.
Woohoo.
Appreciate that.
Yes, very much.
I'm going to try to find it and see if I can hear it.
While you're doing that, talking about pirates and stuff.
Amnon, are you a pirate?
No.
Actually, no. Let me ask you, Amnon, have you ever pirated anything? This is interesting.
Yes, I did. I mean,
Okay.
But it's not stuff that I kept on using. I mean, in the early days.
Oh, okay. You're fine.
In the early days, everybody used to pirate. What is that? Autodesk. What do you call it?
Well, if you've ever used
what? AutoCAD. Oh wow! It was a big deal because it was a $3,000 thing, and you could pirate it, you could copy, and you can. But then, what do you do with it? So it just goes away. I mean, there are things that you can pirate and continue using, but in most cases, these are cheap enough that you can pay for them.
Now, LimeWire, was LimeWire considered torrenting?
No, it was a direct download.
Okay, but it's pirating still.
Oh, it's illegal. Yeah,
It
bootlegging.
became pirating because it was easy for people to share their software. It was
Okay, so then LimeWire was considered pirating as well.
Right, like
Yeah.
Napster.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, everybody's done it.
anything that
Uh.
does peer to peer. People will somehow end up sharing software through it, and before you know it, it's pirated software, and that's it.
What spun up after LimeWire? There was something else, like IceWire or something like that.
Grokster was
Don't know.
another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But listen to this. Microsoft has filed a complaint at federal court in Washington accusing person or persons behind an AT&T subscription of activating various pirated software of Windows 7 and Office 10. The account was identified by Microsoft in-house cyber forensic team based on suspicious activation patterns. Despite being one of the most pirated software vendors in the world, Microsoft doesn't have a long track record of cracking down on individual pirates. From the description used in the complaints, it seems like that the target is not an average user, but someone who sells computer containing pirated software. The article that I read behind that too was talking about how Microsoft didn't mind when people pirated some of the software because it was a path to upgrade. People always, you pirate it and then you go and you buy it, and they make money from it. And that was the same case in the early days, in the 80s and 90s, when there was where vendors were saying it's okay. I mean, people that pirate AutoCAD, they're not going to take it to work and use it at work. Work is going to buy it. So it's okay if people pirate it, play with it, and then go to the boss. I remember that article. Go to the boss and tell the boss, this is the program that we need. And that
I wouldn't say, hold on. I wouldn't say it's okay. It's still illegal.
Oh, no,
Well,
yeah, but they said that it was okay with them.
with who?
With Autodesk. Autodesk was saying that it's okay if people are making copies of it and play with it at home, because they don't sell to individuals, they sell to businesses, so you go to the boss and you tell. Otherwise, there was no trial version back then, so you couldn't play with it and say, okay, here, this is what we need. So it was fine with them, and Microsoft apparently was with the same attitude about it. But now, I mean, yeah, if somebody is selling computers and putting Windows 7 and Office 10 on it and activates it, pirated Windows 7 and Office, and then sells it like that and charges for it. I mean, come on, there's a limit of what somebody would. Mike, remember there was a outfit here that we know in town that was hit with the Microsoft suit because they were buying what they thought were legitimate copies of Windows, whatever it was at the time, 98 or XP, I can't remember. And, you buy it from a vendor and it's got the hologram and all that kind of stuff. And really, you don't know that it's pirated, except that the way that somebody at Microsoft explained it to me one time, if it's too cheap, then something is wrong with it.
Don't you think the $4.95 price he was paying should have been a clue?
Well, he wasn't paying that much, but it was cheaper than others. And you can go today on eBay or on the internet and look for Office 2010 or whatever, and you can find it anywhere from like $600 down to $89. You say, why? So if you call Microsoft's legal department, there's a number for pirated software, and you ask them, The explanation is if it's cheaper than what a dealer can sell it to you by a bunch, then there's something wrong with it. It's pirated.
That's only true most of the time. There is one limited circumstance where companies can sell less than cost, and that is whenever a major retailer or even OEM goes out of business.
Yeah.
And they close out their inventory. A lot of people lie about it and say that's where theirs came from, but there are certain circumstances where that did happen, because I've actually talked with dealers who have been able to get their hands on it. There's typically a limited number. Most in those days, they didn't have thousands of copies of Windows 2000 sitting on the shelf.
Right.
A lot of companies have actually allowed it to happen. A prime example is Ahead Nero burning ROM. They were being pirated and copied all over the place. That's why they're now number one, because so many people have bought it. I know it comes with a lot of CD and DVD burners, but back in the day, that was the most copied software for DVD and CD burning. And now they're number one. So there's a means to an end at the end of the day.
I used to use Nero exclusively till they got, and paid for it. I don't remember what the last version was that I have, but the last version I bought, I never even opened the package because it got so bloated that I just quit using it.
When it started to come with Nero Express and lots of other, movie capture and music stripping and all that stuff, then that was just ridiculous. They realized their mistake afterwards and just made Nero burning ROM available, which was just good at what it did, as opposed to having loads of bells and whistles on that nobody wanted.
I'm still using Nero, and it's one that I bought probably about 6-7 years ago.
Yep, same here.
It's doing the job. I mean, there's no reason to upgrade.
But the only reason I bought it was because I bought, I did download a copy of it and thought, wow, this is really good. It's better than the Easy CD that I'm using. So I went out and bought a copy.
Right, but Steve, like we all do, that a lot of people say that, oh yeah, I'm just trying it out. They have no intentions of ever purchasing it.
Correct.
That's true. I mean, look back in the 90s when there was an awful lot of shareware about, whereby in some cases it was unlimited, and it was not so restricted in any way, which was fine. And then they just asked for a donation. Shareware market seems to have dropped off dramatically now, or they only have shareware with a restricted version. But back in the day, if you liked the program and you paid something to the author, normally a nominal amount, it was a good way to actually get some new software to actually try it out, try before you buy, as they used to call it.
Yeah, in other words, if you like your program, you can keep your program.
Yeah, and then if you pay extra or pay for it, then we'll give you extra features. A good way of doing business.
Yeah, let me tell you what matters to me. When I'm looking for particularly somewhat limited use utilities, whether it might be a tagging program, which I use free ones for that, or some sort of limited use program, maybe even CD burning software. When I go to a site, and it's shareware, and it go to the site and it says, you can load this on up to 5 computers for 1 license, or you can load it on all of your home computers with 1 license, I absolutely pay for it. I will use that one over another one that's 1 license per computer. That is automatically makes the buying decision for me. That's the one that I buy, because I don't want to be in violation of anybody's license agreement. I can't afford to do that in the business that I'm in. I have no intentions of doing it.
When you see somebody being fair like that, and it incentivizes you to think, well, yeah, that's a fair deal. I think that's worth it. It's like I bought, what the hell is it called? Zara Pro, I think it was in the day, and they said that you can have it installed on one machine that you own at a time. So if you wanted it on your laptop, then fine, you uninstall it on the desktop and you can put it on your laptop. You weren't restricted, but you could only have it on one PC at a time. Invariably, most people probably would only have it on the desktop for that type of program, but there was a time where I wanted to put it on a laptop, and I was perfectly allowed to do that, and I was happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because how many people are really going to buy 5 copies of a program to put on their 3, 4, 5 home computers? I mean, I'm sitting here now. I have 3 computers in front of me. I've got 5 monitors and 3 computers. When I first went with this setup, I said, good grief, I'm going to spend a fortune putting Microsoft Office on these 3 computers. I already had the one legal copy that I was able to get at the work through home or whatever that is at my office for, I don't know, I paid $9.95 for Office 2013. And they said, wait a minute, I don't need it on but one computer. If I'm going to do office work on a computer, it's the one on the right. I don't need it on these other 2 machines. And in reality, I don't want it on these 2 machines.
That's another thing with Microsoft is they were, I wouldn't say happy, but they were tolerant of people copying Office because they thought, well, if people are learning Word and they're learning PowerPoint and they're learning whatever else comes with Office, then that's the one that they're going to know when they go to work. And invariably then they're going to say, oh, I'm used to Office, so Office would be bought for the Office.
They're actually even a little bit smarter than that, Steve, because they always said that if you use it at home, you'll want to use it at the office. But and obviously that's true. It's worked. They've got about 99.9% of the commercial market. But that being said, there's probably a little more defensive posture to it than that. Let's think about it for a second. If I were in a situation where I could not afford to spend $200 or $300 or $400 on Microsoft Office, I'm on the Open Office. Or even better now, thanks to Nick, I'm probably going to use Google Docs.
Yeah, and you literally use it anywhere.
And if I get used to that and it does the job, then I'm going to go tell the office, wait a minute, why are we wasting money on Microsoft Office? We don't use PowerPoint. We don't use, what is the database? Access. Well, let's just take a look at Google Docs. Automatic backup. Don't have to have the IT guys panic on that. We'll just see how it goes. And I got to tell you, starting fresh, if I had a small business, 2, 3, 4 people in it today, that was not particularly document intensive, that most things are done on the web or with proprietary databases, things of that nature, I would be inclined to rely on Google Docs.
I think it's moving towards the cloud more now because people don't necessarily need to have that data stored on their own computer like you would store all your Word documents, all your Excel spreadsheets. Nowadays, it's turning more towards the cloud.
Well,
Tim is saying to give it away like Google did, but here's the problem then, and you guys can tell me if I'm missing something here because I really am not sure, but the problem, Apple versus Microsoft. Apple is a hardware company. I mean, they didn't even create their own operating system. It's based on Unix, and they put the cartoon interface on top of it. But the fact of the matter is that Apple is making their money with hardware. If Microsoft gives away its Office suite and its operating system, where do they make money? I mean, I know they've got support contracts and things like that, but I don't know what percentage of their revenue stream would be impacted by giving away their core products.
Well, I mean, they are, quote unquote, giving it away when you're thinking about that student and whatever teacher copy. I mean, come on. How many people do you know that are not students and not teachers and they're using it? And if all you need is Microsoft Word and whatever else comes with it, then it's fine. And it's costing about $100 or less.
But here's the point, though, Amnon.
Yeah.
And again, anyone who wants to correct me on this, feel free. I don't have a dog in the fight. This is just the conclusion that I've reached after thinking about it for about 13 seconds. But the reason Apple doesn't hold a candle to Microsoft in terms of market share, 2 reasons. One, Apple's interest in the mobile market, but the other is that Microsoft is so deeply entrenched in the enterprise market. That's where their money is. That's why Apple had to fold their tent and walk away from the enterprise market, because they can't touch it. If Microsoft ever starts losing that enterprise market, Microsoft's days are going to be numbered unless they make a transition into the mobile market a heck of a lot better than they've done already. And by the way, for what it's worth, for what I've seen, not for what I know, this Surface Pro 3, as I understand it, is making some significant inroads in terms of portable computing. It'll be interesting to see how that progresses over time. I'd be a little afraid to spend the money, but that being said, Microsoft is a software company. Apple is a hardware company. They're both trying to infringe on each other's territory, and so be it. But I mean, even Apple doesn't even make their own hardware. They contract it out. So Apple is really a design company.
And you think about it this way, Mike. At the office, you guys have Microsoft Office, right?
Everything in the house is Microsoft except for a couple of Linux servers.
But are you buying Microsoft Office?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
With maintenance.
And it's a copy per computer.
Yep.
How many people in the office use Microsoft Word?
Everyone.
How many people in the office use PowerPoint?
Probably 90%.
How many people in the office use Outlook?
100%.
And what else comes with it? How many people use Excel?
So that probably would be in the 60% range.
Okay. What else comes with Office Standard?
Well, Access is part of one of the packages.
No, Access is professional. That's there. I don't know that that's what you're buying.
We're at 0% on that.
Yeah. So, but a lot of people do buy it. So here you go. Instead of going and buying, okay, everybody needs Word. Let's buy Word. And if Word by itself costs $140 or whatever, and Office costs $300 and some, you're saving money. But a lot of people don't do it like that. A lot of them are buying the whole suite.
I don't know what we pay per license, but
So-
if it's $300-400 per license, I know
Right.
we get a discount because we are on the maintenance plan. We pay them so much per year and probably get it for quote unquote free. But even if we're paying $400 per copy, considering how integral it is to our operation, that's a very inexpensive tool for a year.
No, I understand. But if you only used Outlook and Word, then why buy the whole thing when you can get the same thing for just buying the two separate, if you could. I don't know that you can buy Outlook by itself, but Word,
You used to be able to.
you can. It's they're making a lot of money from those people that buy the whole thing and only use part of it. I don't know that a salesman anywhere that is where you go to buy Microsoft Office will tell you, well, are you using all of it? Well, no. Then if you don't, then don't buy the whole thing. Buy just this.
But the way I look at it with regard to email, their Outlook, I don't care what the Mac people and the other Microsoft haters say. When Outlook is properly configured and maintained and so forth, it works very well. It does exactly what it is supposed to do. It has its quirks just like any other software program
Right.
does. But if I did not have Microsoft Outlook, I would not feel like my life had lost meaning because I was not able to read my email using Outlook. Windows Live Mail, which is free with Windows 7, is really just warmed over Outlook Express, and it works. It works really well.
Right. And it may not have all the features, but these are the features that you never use anyway.
Well, a lot of people, we use them, but like journaling, I don't use journaling. Never even figured out how to use it. Somebody said they took it out of a later version anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
But these alternate tools, I mean, I use Adobe Audition version 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
This program, I don't know when it was released, 2002, 3, somewhere along in there.
Yeah.
It does not like the Windows 7 desktop. It throws it into the basic desktop when you start it in Windows 7. It, as far as I know, doesn't have the code base to allow it to take advantage of expanded memory that you see now. I don't understand what's going on in the background. But the fact of the matter is, it is probably one of the most incredible programs that is probably the best program I've ever purchased. And the reason I say that is because, granted, I'm used to it. It does what I want it to do. It does almost everything I want it to do. But there was never even a maintenance upgrade or maintenance release. When they released the code, it was right.
Yep.
I'm not aware of a bug in the program. I'm sure there are some. I'm not aware of one, though. That being said, what I know that when Adobe got their hands on the code base, they screwed it up. Now they're up to Adobe 6 or something like that, and they went through all sorts of iterations and problems and what have you. But the bottom line being that Adobe 1.5 works perfectly well for me. I only have it installed on this one computer, and when I want to go edit audio, I go to this old computer. It does exactly what I want it to do. And that's a good reason, though, why the pay-as-you-go or the annual licensing fee is not a good one for me, because I've had this since at least 2005, maybe older. How much would I have paid for this program that is now outdated? I'm debating what to do going forward. I'm probably going to have a quad-core machine with XP on it so that I can use it just as a dedicated editing machine, which is fine. But the reality is it does exactly what I want. The alternative for people who want to edit audio is Audacity. Audacity is a fantastic program, and it's free. I got into a discussion with some guys on Facebook or somewhere about what I liked better about Audition than I like about Audacity. It turns out there were a couple of features in Audacity that I didn't know about. So Audacity went from being a pain to very usable. Still not program of choice. Would I get used to it? I don't know. But now I can go to any computer, load Audacity on it for free. I can complete a project that I need to complete, an audio project, using Audacity, and it's done perfectly well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
same with Photoshop and GIMP, isn't it? It's a lot of people can use GIMP to great effect, whereas with Photoshop, a lot of the features and functions on it, people just don't use.
But that's an interesting point that you raised, Steve, because way back when, somehow I ended up with a copy of, as far as I know, I mean, it came with a drive or something. It was Photoshop LE version 4.0.
Yeah,
and
it came free.
Back in, huh?
It came free with a lot of computers and yeah.
Scanners.
Could have been a scanner. I'm not sure.
Yep.
Probably was. And so and back in those days, I mean, Photoshop, as far as I know, I certainly didn't know that much about it. I didn't understand the difference between JPEG and GIF and those other sort of formats at the time, and never could understand how to get the picture sized right. Every time I would try to post one, it would be too big or too small. I mean, that's how far back it was in my understanding and memory set. But what happened was that I actually learned how to use Photoshop 4.0 pretty darn well. I mean, it got to the point I could do exactly what I wanted. Then somewhere along the way, IrfanView came along, and I stopped using Photoshop 4.0 LE for almost everything. In fact, a few years went by. I had changed computers. Photoshop LE was not installed on it. The need to do some editing with on the computer came up, and I looked around, and by this time, at least at my purview, Photoshop has grown up, where it's not only become a gigantic program that does everything and more, but it also became very expensive. Since then, I have never tried to adjust to. I'm certainly not willing to pay for Photoshop because I don't know what to do with it. And I really haven't had that much need for it after downloading, installing, and using IrfanView, IrfanView.com. Every time I work on somebody's computer, I automatically install it on there if they don't mind, because it's just so darn useful and easy to use. It's incredible. So I don't know.
It's easy and incredible for basic things that you need done. It obviously is not a Photoshop. But most people don't need Photoshop. If you need Photoshop if you're a professional.
Yep.
And you really need to do a lot with video and with pictures and, you know.
If you want to do with layers and things like that, then
yeah.
GIMP is a good way, and that's free. I can't think where it comes from now, but if you do a search for GIMP, you'll find it, and it's pretty good.
It is.
Yep.
I'm still using PaintShop Pro 7, which I got free on the front of a computer magazine back in the 90s, and that does virtually everything I need it to do.
That's what I use.
Came free, didn't cost me a bean.
Well, I have
Well, I
the
paid
pro
for it.
version that I paid for, and occasionally I will go back and use it. And again, it's kind of like we talk about microphones. Why the heck do you need $1,000 microphone for a $39 voice?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
and
Let's see.
UMass is saying there, GIMP is for Mac and PC, so you cover
Yeah.
both aspects.
And Linux.
Is it available for Linux too? I
I
didn't know
believe
that.
it is. As far as I know, it was actually written on Linux and ported, but I'm not positive.
Okay. For that audition problem you're saying it's switching the desktop mic, have you tried compatibility mode?
I don't remember. I mean, I have to.
That should sort it out.
I mean, it might be worth trying because, well, I don't know.
I had a
It may work
program.
fine. It works fine even when it switches the desktop, but every time you start the program, it pops up and wants to know, can I switch the desktop and all that stuff.
And that's just annoying. I had a program that did that. I switched it down in compatibility mode to Vista, I think, and it was fine.
Yeah.
Just
Well, what I could
stopped
do,
doing it.
see, if I were a Mac person, I could go out and attack Adobe for writing a program in 2002 that's not compatible with Windows 7.
I mean, talking about OrphanView, I don't know that Photoshop can do some of the things that OrphanView can do
It can.
as far as batch conversion and all that.
Everything.
Really?
Photoshop can do everything that OrphanView can do. Gene was asking, how do I rate Picasa? Gene, I haven't used Picasa in probably 3 or 4 years, but Picasa, from what I recall, is an extremely good solution for the right problem. And in fact, I talked about this previously, where I've got a serious problem on my home network because I've got pictures all over the place. They're stored in all sorts of places. They're multiple copies. I mean, if at some point maybe this year, may have to start trying to catalog it. I at one point tried to catalog everything I had with Picasa, and it just didn't click with me because it wants to go out and do everything for you.
Mm-hmm.
In Picasa's defense, at the time that I tried it, I was trying about 3 or 4 other programs at the same time, including one that I bought and we tried it, and it was kind of like Picasa, never used it. So I might not have given it a fair shake. I might have gotten confused, and that's one thing that I would be careful about. I had it happen when I was looking for video conversion software. And that is, you want to get something done, get it in a hurry, and it says, oh, you've got to have this, you download it, install it, then you try this other one and install it. Now you get it working, you don't remember what you did because you've been dealing with 14 different solutions in the past 2 hours. So
It's I don't like Picasa because I think it changes the format to its own thing. It seems like you don't end up with the JPEGs and the GIFs and the PNGs unless it puts it somewhere else. It becomes bloated when you use it. I mean, I see some machines that come across the counter and with bad drives, and people want to copy it, and I want to copy their pictures, and gosh, where are the pictures? It's kind of weird.
Well, OrphanView will do that too. There are certain things that you can do, such as save as or whatever. If you're not careful, it's going to force it into your pictures folder when you may be working out of a different folder or even the desktop. But that's a minor inconvenience.
It is.
That annoys me with some programs when it defaults to documents, pictures, or documents wherever. No, let me choose where I want to save the things, please. Thank you.
Yeah, it will let you do that for sure, but you have to pay attention.
I haven't been able to find it in Internet Explorer. It automatically downloads to documents downloads or somewhere, and I don't want it there. Let me choose the folder.
Most browsers will let you ask, do you want to store in the default folder, or ask you every time?
I've been through the settings. I can't find where you can tell it which path you want it to save to. It's just one of the frustrations of life.
Frustration.
Frustrations.
Frustration. All right, let's see what else we have here. Mike, everybody actually should hear this.
Go to the pyramid.
Congress has quietly passed an intelligence authorization bill that includes warrantless forfeiture of private communications to local law enforcement. Representative Justin Amash unsuccessfully attempted to late bid to oppose the bill, which passed 325 to 100. According to him, the bill grants the executive branch virtually unlimited access to the communications of every American. According to the article, a provision in the bill allows the acquisition, retention, and dissemination of Americans' communications without a court order or subpoena. That type of collection is currently allowed under an executive order that dates back to former President Reagan, but the new stamp of approval from Congress was troubling. Amash says, and then limits on the government's ability to retain information in the provision did not satisfy the Michigan Republican. That means that law enforcement can just come to you if you're involved in accident or anything and just take your phone. Is that what it means, Mike?
I haven't read the bill. I'm probably don't want to get too deep into this, but
no,
they already have everything you're saying you're doing anyway. The issue is what can they do with what they have? And I am very skeptical. Who wrote that story?
This is from Slashdot.
Okay, I don't trust it at all. Most reporters are uneducated, poorly informed, poorly paid, and have strong opinions that do not necessarily align with reality. I have zero interest in that story. I'm sure there are some errors in it. And the example that I try to use is, did you ever have a case, depending on particularly if you were in a small town, where the local newspaper ran a story about so-and-so, the child of so-and-so was elected president of the booster club. The election was held and 27 people attended. There's always something wrong with the story. They never get it right. Even I hate the word journalist. They don't have them anymore. But the people who fill the slots that used to be filled by real journalists, they just don't care. They just want to write something, put it out there so they can go home and watch Survivor or something like that. So I just don't trust the story. It may be 100% accurate, but I'm not going to comment on what's right or wrong about it. I will say at a generic level that many of the things that offend us that are happening with NSA and others are offensive to the Constitution, and they will remain offensive to the Constitution unless some point in time someone brings a lawsuit and challenges the constitutionality of the provision, at which time it will rise all the way to the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court will agree or disagree that it offends the Constitution. If it offends the Constitution, it will be declared unconstitutional and it will be overturned. Until then, and even if it's unconstitutional, then it's up to the executive branch to decide where and how to enforce the laws. If they choose not to enforce the laws, such as refusing to deport anyone who's in this country illegally, what are you going to do? It looks to me like the founders of and this is not a political comment for those who think I'm attacking the current occupant. Certainly he's guilty of everything I'm saying, but remember that power does shift, and that power is going to be shifted to the opposite side if you're a fan of this guy that's in there now. eventually the other side's going to have that same power. So you have to be careful what you wish for. And so anyway, I mean, to me, if you're really concerned about these things, be careful what you say on your cell phone, because I have a buddy who, there are quite a few things he won't say on a cell phone, and most people would think he's a kook. And he and I have talked pretty extensively about it. And I said, why do you feel that way about it? Well, this guy used to be in law enforcement. He's been through some pretty significant gang training that's conducted in Chicago. And he said, the fears that I have are not unfounded. He said, I've seen them practiced. He said, thankfully, I've never been asked to be a part of that process. And he got out of it after 4 years because of what he saw and didn't like. So anyway, he just says, if you don't talk it on the phone, they can't use it against you. I mean, there are discussions now about whether, for example, a police officer pulls you over because he says you're texting on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing they're going to do is you say, no, I wasn't. Okay, let me see your telephone.
Right.
Well, that's consent. Now, he can charge you and you can provide a defense, or you can give him your phone and let him look at it, and he can see that you, in fact, were not texting. I don't know which is the better solution right now.
In the UK, they just, if they do stop you and accuse you of something like that, the mere suspicion, they can just take your phone and download it onto a data device now. They just download your whole phone in seconds.
Yeah. And so our Constitution, see what happened, Steve, is our ancestors left your house and came over here because they didn't like the way you guys did things. And they wrote this document called the Constitution to try to prevent the government from doing to us what your government does to you.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically, the Constitution protects us from that sort of thing, but if stories like Amnon's reading are true, and it is getting worse, I don't know what protections, if any, we have. I don't know what protections, if any, we need. If you get and I'm not saying we're there yet, and I don't know that we'll ever get there. Maybe we won't. Maybe Nick's generation will come along and fix this mess our generation created. But if you get a tyrannical government that wants to make up stuff, then the things that you see on social media are certainly available to help them with that objective.
As an outsider, it appears to me that they look at the Constitution and interpret it whichever way suits them best at the moment. And as far as, you were mentioning about political things, same wolf, different clothing.
Oh, it's all in the packaging.
Yep. Same over here, though. So
for sure. I mean,
we're all in the same bucket.
Everywhere. Yeah. No doubt about it.
Yep. Yeah. All right, and another one which is interesting. It's sort of like, simply hand the law enforcement officer your mobile phone, and that's what you can do in Iowa, rather than digging through clutter in your glove compartment for an insurance card. And soon your driver's license will be available on your phone too. According to a story in the Des Moines Register, Iowans will soon be able to use a mobile app on their smartphone as their official driver's license issued by the Iowa Department of Transportation. Some marvelous quotes in TFA. The new app should be highly secure. People will use a PIN number for verification. And Branstad, Iowa governor, noted that even Iowa's children are now working on digital development projects. A raft of excuses, dead battery, and security problem come to mind, though. I don't understand one thing. Why does a policeman need to ask you for your driver's license? Why can't the policeman ask you for your name, get on their computer, and get the driver's license from DMV and look at the picture?
Because the law requires you to maintain
That's
the driver's license in your possession and
well.
to present it when asked.
So I mean, having it on the phone is nice, but yeah, what if the battery is dead? What do you
Well,
do?
they'll take you to jail and get you a charger.
Everything's going to be on the smartphone eventually.
Oh, I need my phone charged. Let me get arrested. But yeah, it's interesting that you can do that with the phone. I know that you can do that with coupons at stores right now. You're not required to clip them actually with scissors off the paper. You can just take a picture of it and go to the store and say, here. But that makes sense because all they're trying to do is sell you stuff, and they're getting the money from the manufacturer anyway, so they don't care. Nick, you want me to do HD, right?
Do I want you to do HD?
I mean, HD now is going to be antiquated.
When?
LG to show a 55-inch 8K display at CES. 8K.
Goodness.
And download that on your smartphone.
Yeah, with the 2 gig cap.
Jeez.
Wow.
8K. We're going to look better than we actually look.
It's interesting. You say that, Amnon, because, I got to be nice here.
No, just be.
I know what you're going to say, yep.
I don't think so.
No, I think I do.
What am I going to say?
You're going to say something how all these people that are doing these shows in HD, they're not the most attractive people.
Okay, you're right.
I knew that's exactly what you were going to say.
The North Carolina.
We are the exceptions. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. North Carolina was the subject, or Duke Power was the subject of a story on 60 Minutes this past week.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't watched 60 Minutes in 5 years on purpose. So I was playing with the TV. In fact, I went to Time Warner and got a new remote. One of my remotes didn't have any range on it. And so after I stood in line for 15 minutes with 11 people in front of me, they handed me a new remote control. And I noticed that there was I forget what it's called, a look back or some sort of button on there. I pressed it and it brought up this list of all the programs. I said, well, wait a minute, maybe I would like to see what happened on this 60 Minutes story. I found it and started watching it, and I won't call her by name, but the hostess or the person portraying the reporter on the show, on that segment, has no business being in front of an HD camera. I mean, and I'm honest to God, even though I detest these people, I'm not saying this about her personally, but there was a big brouhaha whenever HD first came in, because if you go into a TV studio, you will see a lot of scuff marks, a lot of gaffer's tape covering things to make them invisible to the camera. When they went HD, you could see all of these imperfections in the set. And honest to God, some of these people who were hiding behind SD do not translate well to HD. I mean, it was pretty scary.
Oh, well, we're not going HD then.
This is the reason that I don't come on webcam, because I don't want to horrify everybody out there.
Oh, Steve, you underestimate yourself.
I don't like scaring people to death. Hey, Andrew.
You're muted.
Who drives a Ford?
I have one.
Mike drives a Ford.
Well, Ford's in-car infotainment system, known as SYNC, will soon evolve to add a capacitive touchscreen, better integration with smartphones apps, and eventually support for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in version 3 thanks to a switch of operating systems. After years of teaming with Microsoft, the automobile giant has switched to BlackBerry's QNX, a real-time operating system renowned for stability. I didn't know that BlackBerry used QNX, but yeah, QNX is really a good and easy to use Unix distribution.
That's a big smack in the chops, isn't it?
Well, they do what's right. I mean, and Ford has been doing things right all along. I know a lot of people that will not buy a GM or Chrysler, but they in favor of Ford.
That would be me.
Yeah, well,
I will never again own a brand new GM or Chrysler product.
they're doing things right.
Ford is the only American car company I'm aware of that did not have to take money from the government to stay
right.
afloat.
Mm-hmm.
So, but even then, the next car I buy is going to be made in Japan. So, what difference does it make?
I don't understand that argument really.
What?
But I buy Ford because they didn't take a government bailout.
Right. That means they're a better managed company. That means their design engineering is
do you
better.
do the same thing? Do you do the same thing with places you shop from?
Depends on who it is.
Like a company gets
shop
government
for what?
subsidies. Do you say, oh well, I don't want to shop with them because the government subsidy?
No, it's a proxy for bad management. If a company is poorly managed, I avoid them like the plague. I would rather go to the dentist than go to Time Warner because they're so poorly managed. The fact that they don't get government money is irrelevant. It's that they're bad managed. GM, I mean, you look at it this way. If you go out and buy a new GM car, I don't know what it costs, $30,000.
Yeah,
which
maybe,
is
I don't know.
20,000 too much. And if they continue to operate like they have been operating and the government chooses not to bail them out, are you going to be able to get parts for the car in 10 years?
Who knows?
I don't know. Maybe. Is that a unrealistic concern? It may be. But
I'm not necessarily sure about that.
Well, for example, there are some banks that took bailout. I stopped doing business with those banks.
Oh, okay. Well, then good. Then you're not being a hypocrite. I'm
No, everybody's a hypocrite.
No, but there's people that are hypocrites. Oh, Ford is the only one that didn't take a bailout, but yet they'll go and they'll go and store the money in a bank that got bailed out by the government. Like your argument is invalid. You're making no point. You're lying to yourself.
No, it's my opinion. My preference. I'm entitled to it.
Yeah, but you actually follow it. You said you will not do business with a bank that has gotten bailed.
Correct.
So then there you go. I have no problem with you.
And it's even one little step deeper than that, Nick, because whenever I questioned the bank about, and I told them I was leaving them, and they said, oh, well, we didn't need the money. The government forced us to take it. That's what this bank manager told me. And I said, well, I hate to tell you this, but the reason that the government, quote, forced, unquote, you to take the money is because they looked at your books and determined that you were at risk even though you denied it.
That's funny.
So.
No, but you actually follow that, so you're making a legitimate argument.
I am as big a hypocrite as anyone, but I get to choose the issues over which I choose to be a hypocrite.
No, I'm glad you follow that rule and you don't just say it because I don't know.
And anyone who says he's not a hypocrite's a bald-faced liar. I mean, there's no way to be consistent. I mean, who is it? I mean, I have to do business with Time Warner. They would be my last choice of companies to do business.
Everybody's.
I mean, what kind of business is it that? Think about this, Amnon. What if people who wanted to do business with Delta Force, they had to come see you, and when they walk in your door, they have to take a number and sit in a chair and wait for you to call them? Who can operate that way?
Yeah, well, in certain cases, you have to have that, though.
All right, case in point. this is actual information that was relayed to me. I cannot totally verify the truthfulness of it because it's been a long while and I forget things. But you may recall, Nick, this would be before your time, but whenever Wendy's first came along, Wendy's was considered a somewhat of a premium hamburger chain. The quality of their food was better, the selection was good. Everything was, when Dave Thomas was still alive. Am I remembering this correctly, Amnon, that Wendy's was considered kind of more of an upscale hamburger joint than a Burger King?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Why did Wendy's not take over the market because of that? That was always a challenge that a lot of marketing MBA types studied so they could try to understand why you have a better company with a better product, with better service, was not wiping the floor with their competition. And one major problem that they found, which the chain has never changed, is that when you go into a Wendy's, you have this zigzag path you have to follow to get to the cashier.
Right.
People feel like they're being herded like cattle for the privilege of doing business with Wendy's.
You are
when you go into other places, you have multiple cashiers and multiple order takers, so you just go and you stand in the shortest line. Yeah.
But you get to pick where you want to stand.
Yeah.
You're not forced where to stand. And this has with some, I doubt. I mean, Nick's and the reason that Wendy's probably stuck with it is because they knew that people at Nick's age would grow up with it and get used to it, and it wouldn't become a big deal. But us old farts don't like being herded like cattle. Of course, now the airlines are doing it. Everyone's doing it now. Or Time Warner. At least Time Warner lets you sit down after you pull a number. If you ever walk by a Time Warner store going to the grocery store, go in and pull. What?
Oh, never mind.
Go in, pull a number, and go into the store and come back and you see somebody walk in, go over and hand them the number. Just kidding.
Yeah,
Not a bad idea.
This is
That's
why
not fair to the other. It's not fair to the people who have to come in.
I wouldn't go through that much work.
Nah.
Good fun, though.
Yeah.
more
You know, it would be
expense-
funny to pull a bunch of numbers.
This is why when I have a remote to exchange or a box, I always go and I say, whenever the tech is in my neighborhood, could you please have them stop by? And they say, well, you can take it to the store. I said, no. Just have somebody come over here. It's no rush.
I've heard they've started charging for that.
For what? For that service?
Yes, sir.
Check your bill, Amnon.
Interesting. Well, I mean, it doesn't happen that often, but it's.
I know.
I'd still check your bill. I wouldn't be
I
paying
have a
10,
remote
15
that,
bucks
that doesn't
for,
work right, and so I may have to go and pull a number. No, oh well.
Well, they have I don't know what your nearest location is, but the one they have over here, not too far from my house, is a storefront, so you can ride by without getting out of your car and see how many people are in the store.
Oh.
And it's only very crowded 90% of the time. If you can get by the other 10% of the time, you might be able to get in and out within a reasonable time.
Yeah, but see, the thing that if Amnon was going, he's got a different work schedule than you do, so he could go in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Where it's not
Sure.
Mike, you're probably going on to weekends or after work, where that's when everybody else has to go too. So
Yeah.
that has a lot to do with it, I would think.
Wait. Now that's an interesting comment, Nick, because what you're saying is that there are certain times of the day that are going to be busier than others. And a company interested in customer service, after 2 or 3 months of being in business, would understand when those rush times are. And if they were very much interested in customer service, they would have all 4 windows operating at those busy times instead of having just 2 people with one of them taking a break, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just checking.
That's called forward planning, I think, isn't it?
Ah, yeah. We're so old-fashioned.
Yeah.
Banks are a little better about that. A credit union, you go into the credit union, they have you standing in the cattle herd line, and
Really?
oh, for sure.
My credit union doesn't have that.
Well, maybe I should start using that one then.
They've got like a table in the back with like with all the different check things and all that other stuff, and then you walk in, and then there's like 5 or 6 counters, and you just walk up to one.
Well, we have 5 or 6 counters too, but somebody standing in front of them, you don't want to walk up behind them.
Oh.
So anyway, but what they will do is when the line gets too long, they will sometimes, not usually, sometimes bring in additional people to get the crowd down, which is what they should do. Because credit unions, as far as I know, are probably the most customer conscious banking entities available because of the way they operate. When I've had to wait in line a long time at one, I haven't hesitated to mention it to the cashier, or the teller, I guess they're called, that it's an unreasonable period of time to have to wait, because a lot of people, for example, have to go by on their lunch hour. They're very critically monitored for their time. Thankfully, I'm not as critically monitored, but I have responsibilities that I have to fulfill as well. They should be, and in their defense, you can walk in there a lot of times and nobody's in line.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's Bruce Turner. Hello, Bruce.
Hello, welcome Spence as well.
Good morning.
Hey.
Yellow.
Morning, morning.
Did you get my note and my email?
Yeah. I didn't check on your email. You want me to go and post
Okay.
it? Is it ready?
I sent the specials a few
Okay.
minutes ago.
All right.
Oh, stop it. You're just exciting me now.
Alan says there are McDonald's here whose restrooms are cleaner than the eating in area. Well, just eat in the restroom, Alan.
Yeah, take it with you.
All right, don't everybody talk at once. Has
That was
anyone
the NSA was trying to say something.
I
wasn't
see.
listening.
Has anyone heard of the Chinese manufactured phone called the Oppo R5?
No.
Smartphones are getting thinner and thinner, and it seems that consumers are becoming more and more concerned as to whether these phones are still tough enough to survive a hard day at the office. Chinese smartphone manufacturer Oppo, that's OPPO, has released a video of the R5 titled "The R5, Does It Smash?" going through a series of challenges to show just how tough the smartphone really is. Hammering in nails and cracking nuts open with a smartphone might seem a tad extreme, but in the end, it probably proves a point. I can post a link to the video if anyone wants to see it, possibly. Let's see.
I wonder where this will go when they finally bring to market flexible screens. They've already got the technology. It's just a matter of creating a product around it.
Yeah, and it's cost effective too. I mean, it's got to be cost effective, because my understanding is, as we've talked here previously, these cell phone companies are really forcing new models of acquiring cell phones. And I'm sorry, I'm just telling you that the great mass of people are not going to spend $800 cash on an iPhone 6.
Did you see recent news about a company called Freedom Pop?
Nope.
I got an inquiry from my aunt and uncle asking me if I thought it was a good idea. And it's a company that sells service off of, I believe Sprint is one network, and they also do Clearwire. But they are like these inexpensive companies. They started, but they have free service. It's minimal. You have to still buy a phone that's compatible. You can use a compatible Sprint phone if you buy one on your own. But it's free for some minimum amount of numbers. Their business model is that you can buy into the free part and then just expand later. And even still, their regular prices are good, but you can get free internet service and free telephone. So if you need someone needs an emergency phone, it's a really good way to do it. It supports texting. It supports voicemail for free. Freedom Pop. If it wasn't for the fact that Clark Howard actually recommended it, I did some research on it and found that at first they were a little bit. There was a little bit of concern over their user agreement, because they didn't really say that if you go over the minimum, you start to be charged, and you'll continue to be charged until you scale the plan back. So they've since then cleared that up, so they have very clear terms and conditions. But
I detest their website. I'm going through it now, and I've clicked on. The first thing I want to know is my zip code and email address. I put in some information for that, clicked on it. Then it won't say, okay, now we need your street address. So I made up some information and put it in there. Then, as I click next, I'm up, select the phone that best serves your needs.
that was the one other consideration, was that you had to go through a long sign-up process to see what was available for you.
All right, so they want iPhone 5 is $400.
They also sell refurbed equipment. Their first phone that they offer, they actually offer a phone with their own branding now too, which is new.
So I'm looking at the offer, select the phone plan that's right for you. Unlimited talk text monthly, $11 a month. Free trial, unlimited voice, text, 500 megabytes of data. It's free for the first month, and then $10.99 for each additional month. Unlimited talk text, same plan if you paid by the year, is $1,000, save $1,000, one-time payment of $80. Here's the basic. It's free. 200 voice minutes, 500 text messages, 500 megabytes of data.
And that's per month?
It says 0 per month. I'm assuming that is a monthly allocation.
Yeah.
But here's the final plan. This is what's interesting. Unlimited everything, $20 a month. But data throughput reduced to 3G speeds after the first 1 gigabyte.
Well, that's fine.
I'm just getting ready to say, if all you're using is 3G now and it
Yep.
does what you want, who cares?
Right.
I checked my usage the other day because I was on a job. I wanted to stream music, and I checked. I limit mine to 3. I don't turn 4G on. I don't need it. So if I needed to, I can turn it on, but I keep it off. But I checked my usage at the end of the month, like 2 days before my plan reset. I was only at like 200 meg. And that's using it for GPS for the phone, for the mapping and web browsing, and occasionally streaming some music. And I don't use a lot of data. I don't need to. That includes my email. I know my 2 daughters, one gets close to 2 gig and my other one is still on an unlimited plan, and she goes 3 or 4 gig a month.
So you're saying that you can use your own phone with this service?
Well, if you can get, you can inquire, as long as it meets their standards. I think the Sprint was their voice network, and I think Sprint is pretty wide open. You can buy a SIM card from them, or if you have a SIM card, that's what they said, that you can buy your own device and bring it.
Yeah, but I'm sure you need to buy the right device for their
Oh
network.
no, you do, of
Yeah.
course. So you couldn't buy a Verizon phone, or
Right.
maybe you could. It depends on whether it's CDMA or GSM.
Right.
So
Yeah, but $20, hey.
yeah, so my aunt and uncle in Florida are looking for ways to conserve money. They're retired, and they don't use the phone a lot, and they're pretty stationary. They can't travel anymore. So if the phone works where they are, get 2 free phones. Each of them get a free account, and so they're going to try it. I was going to say I recommended that they keep their Verizon phone until they see that this works for them. Get a trial number, and then you can move your number over after you're sure that the service works properly.
Put a link in the chat.
Did you see what Tim Barber said? My daughter used 58 gig in 1 month. Wow. Hey Tim, I'd love to see that conversation.
Is this Tim, the architect?
Yeah.
Cool. Freedompop.com is what we're talking about, but you have to go through, just make up an email address and give something close by as an address if you want to. It still hasn't told me whether it's available in my area.
I'm not sure if this product is still available at the price I paid for it, but I bought something on Root this week. I went in looking for a Christmas gift that someone recommended. This is a Western Digital dual band router on Woot. I got it for $19. It's brand new in the box. It has gigabit ports. It's got 2 USB share ports on it. It's dual band. It's not AC, although I think it would be considered pre-AC standard. It's an N router that covers both 2.5 and 5 gigahertz, 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, as well as it's got priority streaming and all that. And I haven't used it yet, but $20, brand new in the box.
Yeah. Further on this Freedom Pop, and every time I click is something new. Congratulations, you've qualified for free premium services. Get 100% free trial. Our most popular services for the ultimate internet experience for your first month. But this is interesting because it says rollover unused data, free tethering, and online security, plus 2 times more data. All right, let's continue on that. And operators are standing by.
What happens when you finish the trial?
They take your house.
Yeah.
Unlimited voice data plan, iPhone 5, 500 megabytes additional free data. Special bonus just for activating today. iPhone 5, $399. Freedom Pop 1 gig unlimited data plan, $15. Unlimited voice plan, $499. That's $19.99. Freedom Pop phone Premier trial free. 300 minutes of international calling, $4.99. It's an option. Extended warranty, $8.99 is an option. And I can have that today for one payment of $435.98.
That includes the phone.
Yep.
Do you feel like your arm's twisted behind your back?
Are they knocking on your door yet?
There might have been a point in time when I would have felt that way, but now I am totally unimpacted.
Are they knocking on your door yet?
They don't want to do that. They have an A- rating from the Better Business Bureau, and that takes a lot.
Is that good or bad?
A- is bad.
So B would be really bad.
Really bad. Because once they get off of A, then below A, a lot of these companies will subscribe to the Better Business Bureau and those ratings come up. So if you can't buy above an A-, then that's a problem. I mean, it's a cell phone company. Come on.
Yeah. And there's probably things that you're going to find out when you finally deal with them that are not on the website.
I'm still looking at Freedom Wireless. Is that what it is? No, is it? No, Republic Wireless. Republic Wireless. Hello. Because the idea, I like the idea that it relies almost exclusively on Wi-Fi when it can, then it goes out into the to the other network. But it relies on Wi-Fi even for voice calls and text messaging. That's their technology.
I think. Well, I'm trying to remember if I'm confusing this with another provider, but I believe Freedom Pop does the same thing. They do use voice over IP when they can.
The only thing, not the only thing, one thing I see about Republic Wireless that I may not like is their phone, because of the technology you have to buy their phone. As far as I could see, the Motorola Moto is the only one they have. But what's interesting about that is, of all of the reviews I've read on their site, on other sites, and Dave Ramsey's site where people have talked about this sort of thing, is people seem to love that Motorola telephone.
My daughter Eve has a Motorola phone. She's stayed with them through several generations of phone. She likes them. I mean, now it's what's going to happen to them with all the turmoil lately. We're not sure, but
what turmoil?
Well, they were sold a few times.
Yeah.
And but they did offer you could build your own phone and custom colors and cases and all that. Not cases, but actual the actual body of the phone you could customize and have your name on it and all that. They had a lot of nice features for people to go to when they bought the phone.
You can actually, if you got an iPhone and probably others, you can take it over to Triangle Cellular Repair over in, what are they off of, Edwards Mill Road or whatever that other road is in that area over there. And they can put a colored back on your iPhone. I mean, my
Oh yeah.
daughter had a pink back put on her phone. She wanted a pink front and back, but they didn't have a pink front. But they do that sort of work. And by the way, haven't been there yet, but Triangle Cellular Repair also opened an office in our store at South Point, streets of South Point.
I was telling you that I had problems with my phone, the Global 2 whatever Droid.
Ancient phone. It's by
Well,
technology
ancient,
standards, it's a caveman's phone.
Well,
yeah,
Amnon's ancient.
and it really got to the point. I mean, I was on the road. When was it? Thursday, Wednesday, and I tried to call, and it wouldn't do anything. And then 5 minutes later, it was ringing. I mean, finally, it went through. So I called uh, Verizon and asked for. First of all, I went and I looked at the phones that Tim was telling me last week, the S3, and took the information down and just called my Verizon guy and I said, okay, if I get these phones, is there any problem in activating? He said, well, you just have to make sure that you get the IMEI and all that. I said, I don't get any of these numbers, but I can return it in 30 days. He said, yeah, if it says that it's for Verizon, it's okay. And it's somebody that sells a lot of them, it's probably okay. So I went in and at that point, I made my mind, I'm going to get them. But then I figured, I said, Tony, let me talk to support. I want to find something. I said, you have to call back. So I called back and started talking to the lady and explaining that it's taking forever for a call to get through. And I tried to do the star 228, something like that, to reprogram, and that won't even go through. So she said, well, you're in time for an upgrade. You could go to online and get that. I said, look, don't try to sell me a phone because I already ordered used phones, refurbished phones somewhere. So I don't need to change anything. I just want to know if this phone can be fixed. So she said, well, let's do a couple of things. Can you dial? And she gave me a number. I said, I'll try and dial it, but it probably won't go through. And it sure didn't. And I said, you know what? After about 15 minutes of her say, do this, do that, I said, you know what? Forget it. It's not worth the time. Then that afternoon, I found out from Kathy that her phone is doing the same thing. And she's got the exact same phone. I said, okay, now that it makes no sense that it's the phone, that my phone is bad. It's got something else. So I took the batteries out of both phones and stuck them back in, and the phones are working okay.
Maybe there was a feature change or something
I
that
don't know. I
required
mean,
a
I
reboot of the phone.
ordered the S3 because I mean I read about it and I like it. And even Tony, that my Verizon guy was saying, if you can get a Galaxy S3 for that price, get it. They're great phones. So we'll see. But it was interesting. We were supposed to get a call from Best Buy. What they call a blue shirt. I was in contact with them, and I just realized, I mean, when they were supposed to be at 10 o'clock, and I realized, well, nobody called. So I went in to make sure that I told them at 10 o'clock, and sure did. But somehow in the back and forth emails, I put 517977, and that's obviously the wrong number. But then I was thinking, well, I guess maybe they could find out on the site the right number. But then right away I think, no, they're not going to find out. Somebody asked me why.
The number's wrong on the site.
No, I told the PR person. I said, look, it'll sound much better if they do Skype, or they can even join us on our Hangout. Oh, they can't do either. That's after a few hours later, she said she heard back and they cannot do either. So if they cannot do either, I'll bet they cannot even get on the website. That's very interesting that somebody who's supposed to be talking about technical stuff is not able to use Skype or to join a Hangout. So I guess we are not going to hear from them, which is fine. We have our own specials, right, Spence?
We do.
You want to go with it?
Sure, I can. Is it?
Yeah, I
available?
already posted it. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then we can do it. And
right, well.
if you are looking at this now and if you're using something other than Acrobat Reader, very big difference if you're using the built-in viewer that comes with Windows 8. The quality is just incredibly different. If you use Acrobat, it's excellent. If you use that reader, it's just all blurry for some reason. The resolution isn't there. Okay, so December 14th, 2014, starting with Staples, we have a Windows 7 Toshiba laptop, 15.6 inch, Intel i3, $329, $270 off. You've got a Lenovo Core i5 Windows 8 machine. This is $200 off. 6 gig, 1 terabyte drive with an Intel Core i5. An i5 for $399. That's getting close to a business class laptop. Windows 8 PC, Dell, with a Core i5, $429 on sale, $200 off. And that's 8 gig of memory, 1 terabyte hard drive. Apple TV, $84. They're actually taking some money off that. I've seen $5 off here and there, but now $15 off for Apple TV. Chromecast, $30, save $5. We've got a Brother inkjet printer scanner fax copier for wireless. It includes wireless automatic two-sided printing, $69.99. We see this every week, but and the prices will vary by maybe $10, but $69.99, $30 off. Epson Expression wireless small-in-one inkjet printer for $69.99, save $30. Samsung Express C410W color laser printer, $149.99, save $80. Probably cheaper to buy this and then throw it away than it is to get new cartridges for it. But hey, if you have a big project and you need a color laser printer for it, $149. Windows 7 laptop from Dell with an Intel Core i5. This is a 15.6 inch machine, $479.99, save $200. We've got a Dell touchscreen laptop, AMD A6 processor, $349.99. This is also a 15.6 inch machine. Logitech MK520 wireless keyboard, $29.99. It's half price, $30 off. Lexar USB 2.0 flash drives, 16 gig, for $699. 32 gig for $12.99, 64 gig for $22.99. It's $47 off the regular price. We've got an HP Windows 7 machine with a Core i3 Intel processor, $339.99, save $160. Samsung 24-inch LED monitor, $149.99, save $70.
Answer.
Yes, sir.
On these, when we say Core i3, i5, i7, it's It's a little tricky sometimes because it's helpful to know if they're dual core or quad core.
Usually i3s are dual. They're
Is that
multi-thread. They're multi-thread machines, so it might show up as 4 logical processors. But physical processors, there's 2.
I3 is always dual. I5
okay?
is
What
quad.
about I5?
5 and 7 are quads.
I5 is
Not
quad.
always.
No,
So-
I5
no, there's a
is
5. Apple, that's true. Apple does make a dual core 5. And
Oh.
probably other dual core 5s out there.
They make a dual core 7.
Yep.
Well, they make a machine that uses it because they're usually a generation behind in technology.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. Just
No, that's fine. It's a good point. And you got to look. You should always look at the look up the processor. And AMD, you don't hit an actual physical quad until you get, I think, to A8. Not sure that 6 is a quad, an actual physical quad. Good processors, though. I mean, good price points. All right, we were at the Samsung Galaxy Tab 4 7-inch for $149.99. That's $50 off. Samsung Galaxy Tab 4 10.1 inch for $279.99, save $70. We've got a Windows 7 Dell desktop machine. This is a Core i3, 8 gig of memory, 1 terabyte hard drive, $349.99, save $200. They're really getting rid of the Windows 7 stuff. This is good for us. I mean, eventually it's going to be gone, but it's actually, I think you might be paying a little bit of a premium for the Windows 7 stuff. But Asus Mimo Pad 8. This is an Android 4.4, 8-inch screen, 16 gig of memory for $129.99, save $40.
I wonder what it has to do with vinyl.
With what?
Look at the picture.
Oh, it shows a picture of a record. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. It's made out of recycled record albums.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what the picture's about. Good question. I think I might choose a different background for my ad. It leads to confusion. We've got a Windows 8 tablets now, reasonable prices. Toshiba Encore 2 8-inch tablet, 32 gig of memory, Windows 8.1, $179.99. It's 20 off. And a Encore 2 10.1 inch from Toshiba, $249.99. And finally, we have Lexar USB 3.0 flash drives, 16 gig for $12.99, 32 gig for $14.99, 64 gig for $24.99, 128 gig for $49.99. I think I paid for the first 32 gig flash drive I bought USB 3.0. I probably paid $70 for it. These prices
Wait a
are very
second.
good.
Spend something doesn't make sense.
What's that?
Above you have 16 for $6.99.
And where was that, Amnon?
Right above the.
Not on the document. What store?
Staples.
Everything looks like it's Staples on this
Okay.
page.
This is all Staples on this page. Where do you see?
Look above. Just
Yep,
scroll above
you had
next
them
to the
16
keyboard.
for $6.99 because I'm going to go buy some of those.
Next to the keyboard.
Next to the keyboard.
Keyboard mouse. It's
Let me go up.
the third line. It has Lexar.
Oh yeah, those are USB 2. I'm sorry, I must have swung right past those. Yeah,
No,
so
you
that's-
did. You did mention them.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are USB 2.0 drives.
Oh, the other ones are 3. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that
a
makes
different
sense.
price.
But for most applications, 2.0 is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, in most cases.
Okay,
it's
I
good.
see. All right, I missed that.
When if you're using it to like transport large files between machines and you're in a rush, 3.0 helps. It's a lot faster, but
Okay.
I think it's worth it to have one, maybe. Not, I wouldn't say go out and buy all new 3.0 ones, but I have one that sometimes I need it for a large transfer. If I'm editing a video file and I want to move it to another machine quick, it's nice to have it zip along at 400 meg.
It's only the 16 that is way off. The other ones are like $2 more each.
All right,
All
so
right.
that was all at Staples. At Office Depot, Office Max, we have a couple of touchscreen laptops. We have a 15.6-inch HP Intel Core i3, $399.99, save $150. We have an AMD A8. That's a true quad-core processor, 13.3-inch touchscreen for $469.99, save $160. And this is a convertible one where you can turn the screen around and turn it into a tablet. So useful. They've got a Asus. I think they used to call these the Transformer. I don't think they call it that anymore. But this is a detachable touchscreen where you can remove the keyboard, 10.1-inch screen, and that goes for $279.99, save $50. Epson Workforce wireless printer, scanner, fax copier, $59.99, save $40. And that does have a, because it is a fax machine, it has a decent sheet feeder in it. This is a useful device. This Craig 2200 milliamp portable power bank, and they're all made by the same manufacturer. People just put their names on it, but $5. That's a stocking stuffer right there. It's half price. Well, I should say it's actually $10 off. It's normally $15. Got an HP 20-inch LED monitor for $89.99, save $30. We've got Bluetooth speakers. This is, again, it's down in the price of a stocking stuffer. Skullcandy Ringer Bluetooth speaker, $14.99, save $15, half off. Roku streaming stick, $49.99, save $5. And I put this camera in here just because it's having had a Canon camera like this, a PowerShot, and the prices, it just keeps getting better and better. This is a 20 megapixel camera for $99, $50 off the ELPH 150. So if you're looking for a gift, these are all good. Any of the Canon cameras are good, but this is a really nice camera for $99. Logitech HD C525. The only reason I bring this one up, not because it's a real good performer, but this is a very travel-friendly camera. This turns around and has its own cover built in, so you protect the lens. You don't have to worry about putting it in a case. I have this one, and I would travel with it. And decent quality. I wouldn't say it was real good. It does support HD, but I think it's best to say that this is built to travel, not necessarily as a performer. But they also have the Logitech, and that's for $39, 20 off. The Logitech Pro C920, which we know is an excellent camera. That's what I'm on right now. This is for $74.99, 25 off the regular price. Logitech H540 USB headset for $39.99, save $10. Brother has both of their wireless scanners on sale, and I have the, or I should say mobile scanner, not wireless scanner. I have the second one here. The first one does not include two-sided duplex automatic color scanning, but it's still very useful for photographs. I like scanning photographs through this type of a scanner instead of laying them on a flatbed, because they just, if they track through properly and you get good at it, you can just pump pictures through. And I use something like IrfanView to do the scanning, which you can do a lot of batch scanning, which makes it easy. But the Brother mobile color scanner, $89.99, save $40. And the Brother mobile color scanner that includes two-sided scanning for $149.99, save $50. And finally, at Office Depot, Office Max, Epson Perfection Photo Scanner. And this is useful because it is set up to do photographs. Now, it's a smaller unit, but it does have a way of doing. This is built-in transparency unit, so it is designed to work with photographs and slides. So $149.99, save $50. That was all at Office Depot, Office Max. And finally, at Best Buy, and they're making it harder and harder to run through their weekly ad here. Just not very easy. They do organize it, but they won't let you scan it by page. It's their own format online. They won't let you actually look at what the brochure looks like, which is what the other two retailers do. Acer 11.6-inch Chromebook, 2 gig of memory, Celeron processor, 16 gig flash hard drive, 169.99, say $30. HP 14-inch Chromebook. This is with a NVIDIA Tegra, I'm sorry, NVIDIA Tegra processor, 2 gig, 16 gig flash hard drive, $269.99, save $30. Got a Lenovo 15.6-inch AMD A6 laptop for $299.99. I've got a PNY 128 gig USB 2.0 flash drive for $39.99. That's a good price for USB 2.0 and a 128 gig large flash drive. I saw this tablet, the Wacom Creative Pen and Touch tablet. Now that's not useful for everybody, but if you do any kind of design work and you don't want to work with a mouse or a glide pad with your finger, this is a nice device. $99. It's highly rated. Useful if you're, I mean, of course, you got to look at this and see what the requirements are, what software it works with, but good device. Logitech K400 wireless keyboard. This is the one that has the built-in glide pad, so excellent for an entertainment system. $19.99, save $10. This is another device I threw in here that it's not going to be useful for everybody, but it's a USB 2.0 to Ethernet adapter. I have one of these and was especially useful when I would be working on a machine or installing software on a machine. For example, installing Windows 7 on a machine, and you're loading the disk, and you want to be online. The one I had was a Netgear one. And you plug it in, and it was the driver was recognized by Windows in the install program. So you were connected. You didn't have to wait to do the updates later. You could actually download the updates as part of the install process, which was very helpful. So if you need to do a lot of work on a machine and you want to get network connectivity as you install right away, this might be a good option. Hopefully it's got a chipset in there that's recognized immediately. So USB 2.0 to Ethernet adapter, $19.99, save $5.
Spence, I've seen that most of those USB 2.0s, they automatically use the default Windows networking driver.
This is nice. It just works. So it's useful. And if
where
you
was
have
that at?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Where was that at?
Say again.
Where?
Best Buy.
Best Buy.
Oh, this is at Best Buy. Yeah, Best Buy.
I thought Best Buy was going
I
out.
still have my Ethernet one in my little kit that sits on my desk here. When I used to work on machines a lot, especially if somebody would bring a machine in and there was a problem with it, I would plug this in. It would recognize the driver immediately, all the way back to Windows XP.
Yeah. Now, just make sure if you're not I have one for the Chromebook, but not all of them work on the Chromebook. So if you're using it on a Chromebook or something, there's like a few that have been tested and work. But that, I mean, any of those will work on Windows, but not necessarily on Chromebook.
Mike, you were trying to say something?
I said I thought that Best Buy was supposed to go out of business.
I've been hearing that for a long time. I mean, I don't know I've been in the store recently. I went to buy a memory card, and they seem to be better organized. For a while, it was kind of chaos in the store. They've rearranged it yet again, which is not easy for people coming back and who don't go there very often. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, they were there the day of my daughter's wedding. I needed another memory card because the one I thought was going to work with this camera was too big. It was an older HD camera, and I had to go buy a smaller card. And I ran in there, and it just happened to be on sale, and I picked it up, and it worked. It was great. So they.
I don't want to see them go away. What I hope they will do is continue to try to appeal to their customers and be a viable source, and not do like Barnes and Noble. I mean, Barnes and Noble, you go to their website, you can buy a $24 book for $17, but if you go to the store, it's $24. I hope they don't get caught up in that kind of nonsense, because it very quickly persuades me I don't have to have that book today. I can wait until tomorrow.
I had one very bad experience with Best Buy on appliances, and it wasn't that they were necessarily at fault. It's just the way they handled the situation that I wasn't comfortable with. But I go back to the story years ago where they were tracking customers. And if you were a customer that came in on a regular basis and bought things on sale, you were not a preferred customer. You were preferred if you came in and paid full price.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, you're not marketing. Why put sales on then? Unless you're just looking for people to come in the store and see something else that they want and prefer full price.
Anyone who comes into your store to do business with you needs to be treated as a preferred customer.
Yeah, I just thought that was not good. Well, who knows what goes on? And anybody following the Sony hacking case?
A little bit.
Yeah, not much.
It's pretty amazing. It looks like the actual one of the heads of Sony now has revealed their email messages, and it was just the things that they were saying. They may have to lose their jobs now over this.
What is the story, though?
The story was that a hacker got into Sony Entertainment and got in there and basically
wait a
ran
second.
roughshod over all of their
Are we done
servers.
with the specials?
What's that?
Are we done with the specials?
No, there was a couple more things. Yeah, let me finish that first. Yeah, almost done. I mean, right at almost at the bottom of the page. But we'll talk about the Sony thing. It is important, and it is actually a lot of impact.
But yeah.
HP Pavilion desktop Andy A8 for $449.99, save $80. Acer Aspire. This is a good entry-level machine. It's a desktop computer with a monitor. It's just a Celeron dual-core processor, but $289.98. If you have a situation where you don't want to give a kid a laptop, you want to have a computer, but it's got to be out in the open where you can keep control of it. It's not portable. This is a good choice. It's $90 off. And we have 3 monitors, an Acer 19.5-inch LED for $79.99, save $50. An Acer 23-inch IPS LED monitor for $149.99, save $30. And this is a good deal. An Acer 27-inch LED monitor for $169.99. It's $80 off. Those are definitely their loss leaders to get you in the store. And finally, we've got our Western Digital Mainstream. I haven't heard that brand name or that marketing term yet. 1 terabyte internal hard drive, SATA drive. $49.99, say $15, because I thought black was the one you wanted for a minimum for desktop. So I don't know what mainstream means. Seagate Backup Plus 5 terabyte external USB 2.0 drive, $159.99, say $40.
You're sure it's 2.0?
It says 2.030.
Okay.
Yeah, it's both. Did I say 2.0?
You did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say 3.0. I was going to say 3.0, and that would assume it was 2.0. Thank you for correcting that. But yeah, it's USB 3.0. Good price. Also, Western Digital My Passport Ultra 1 terabyte external 3.0 hard drive, $69.99. That's $30 off. Plus, you get a $10 Best Buy gift card, and that is it at Best Buy. 1 week left. We'll have one more specials before the
before the day.
The day. So.
All right. So let's go back to Sony.
Oh, Sony Pictures, yeah, Sony Entertainment. So somebody hacked them and got into their servers, and people were coming to work and logging in, and we get messages from the hacker, we're into your system. And it's one of those deals, it's almost like what happened with the WikiLeaks thing, and then what's happening with the other major security breaches where the information is leaking out, and they're using it to their advantage to let it come out a little at a time. But they've revealed things like what are the actors' salaries on a movie, social security numbers, addresses, phone numbers of all the staff within Sony Entertainment. They actually had to stop production. They've stopped production on all movies at this point because everything is in turmoil. They can't pay anybody. It's just a mess. And the story I was reading today was that they revealed emails between some of the heads of I'll tell you who it is exactly in a second. Let me get to the right page here. Oh yeah, so if you look at the Drudge Report, the headline there is just Sony hackers strike again, promise Christmas gift. it's leaking out. They have emails that are criticizing the stars, the actors, and saying who's hard to work with. Directors just sending out these scathing emails about what it's like to work with these spoiled actors and actresses. Just all really, really ugly stuff. Plus the this woman named Pascal, who is the let's see, what's her name now here? Get the rest of her name.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's a husband and wife team. But the point is that Sony 56-year-old embattled chief was just saying things about people in politics that weren't very good, calling actors, called an actor a whore, claiming that somebody else is bipolar, and just all these things that were released. And this is just to show you everything that's in email is not private. Amy Pascal is the co-chairman of Sony Pictures, and her husband's name is somebody else. I'm trying to read it here, but the point was that the husband was also implicated in some of these emails. But the point is really ugly. Not the husband. Oh yeah, let's see. A producer. Okay, talking to executive VP. Yes, thank you for that. But the point is that this is major upset to Sony, and they're wondering what the company heads in Japan are going to do about it.
I was reading something
executive VP is probably going to lose her job.
I was reading something that they're using some malware out there to limit the leakage. I don't know who put it or what, but I mean,
they're spoiling a lot of the torrents. They've duplicated the hash, and they're spoiling a lot of the torrents of the movie.
Oh,
yeah. So part of that hack was movies that are slated to release, the full like movies were released, not like a taped like with a camera version, like the actual movies themselves have been released. And these are movies that aren't even out yet, so.
Yes. And there was another movie they wanted blocked. They insisted that there was a movie coming out that they didn't want to see. It's supposedly one idea is tied to North Korea, and there was a movie coming out that was not favorable to North Korea. And
so what did they leak that was said about our president?
About what?
About Obama.
Oh, they just, it wasn't very flattering, the things that they said.
Oh, so they never...
Some of it was, well, in today's atmosphere, you can just say something very innocent and it could be called a racist, but still, some of these things were definitely racial and making fun of him and, what kind of movies he liked. People he might be, it wasn't good.
One article I was reading was saying that how the MPAA, the Movie Picture Association of America, has been basically buying off a lot of attorney generals and giving them agendas and things to go after Google.
Yep.
And that was pretty horrific.
So you mean these Hollyweirders are not the chosen people? They're not the perfect examples of society that everyone should strive to be just like?
Well, that's the thing, you see. They believe they are.
I know they do that. And I'm just stunned that it's not true. I thought they were the chosen ones. I thought that they were what life should be like.
I think some heads are going to roll on this one.
Think about how bad people can be on a modest budget. Give them a couple of $1 million a year and see what they do with it.
But let me say this, though, Spence, without regard to you should use proper decor and demeanor and so forth when you're communicating anytime, anywhere. But who really should care about the Sony case? I mean, it's even hearing the story about it. I don't care what happens to them. If they go out and act like a bunch of morons, they ought to have to account for it.
Oh no, I think I care about it just from a technological perspective.
Okay.
Because
they do.
anybody can be, any company for any reason can be attacked and hacked, because I mean, I talk about some customers that I've worked with in the past that you find out that they just don't practice any kind of good security on their records. And it's like, you're right. If somebody finds out, I mean, they're small operations, so that really might not be that big a deal, but they're exposed and they don't care.
I mean, with all the hate for the 1% in America, and considering how much pain and emotion and damage, financially and otherwise, that some of these media companies have inflicted on innocent people, or people who thought they were innocent, I don't see a lot of sympathy for them. To me, based on the little bit of the information I've seen, is people are just interested in what it is that's being told, not so much the fact that Sony was hacked.
Other thing is that this kind of reinforces, there are certain actors and actresses whose movies I won't see, simply because I know something about them that I'm like, nope, sorry, I'm not going to support you by going to see your movie. Maybe that's a little thing, but
one of the things that gets me about this particular hack is that it just goes to prove that Sony did virtually nothing to improve things after the last time they got hacked. I mean, what are they playing at?
Yeah, no. So Sony is always. I mean, the PlayStation Network thing was a disaster, and obviously they haven't bothered doing stuff for their infrastructure.
I got some other questions before everybody digs out of here. We went on the Raleigh Candlelight Tour yesterday, where we tour old, rundown, dilapidated homes that they put a fresh coat of paint on them and call them revitalized, and quadruple the price on them. But I went into one of them, and Oakwood, yeah. I went in one of the houses. A guy had several Logitech Ethernet players, hardwired and wireless. And I noticed them, and I did not notice it, but the one in the first room and the second room, I didn't realize it, but they were even synchronized in what they were playing. He had one in the back of the house that was not synchronized, but I was stopping and looking at it, and of course they would like to watch to see if anybody's touching anything. So as soon as you lean over and look closely at something, somebody's sitting there looking over your shoulder, waiting to make sure you're not putting it in your pocket. But strangely enough, the owner was there, and he and I started talking about it. And he said, "Oh yeah, these are all discontinued. You can't get them anymore." My question is, why are they all discontinued? Because what you have is this tiny little player sitting like a radio, sitting on your table, playing off the internet. As far as I know, they were playing Spotify or something like that. And so why, I don't understand why there was no market for Logitech, which is the only reason they would have gotten out of this market, because they weren't making any money at it. And the second question would be, who is, if anyone, has taken their place?
Never heard of such thing.
Look up Logitech Squeezebox Wi-Fi Internet Radio and Wireless Music Player. In fact, I'll do even better than that. I'll post a link to show what one of the units was, so you can tell what it was. And
what I think killed it, Mike? I think apps on phones killed it.
And that's sort of what I was thinking, but that really doesn't help a whole lot.
This is what killed it. They're expensive.
Yeah.
They're $400, $500.
Oh no, these are people that are charging that for them because they're discontinued.
Yeah, but they're still available, obviously.
That's how much demand there is for them, that people are getting those prices for new old stock and even used ones.
It is, the unit looks nice. I mean,
it's a beautiful,
I can't tell how big it is, but
it's little. When I first saw it, I thought it was a Sirius satellite radio, but it was not. It was an internet player. I mean, these things are going to come back into vogue because everything's going internet, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's 802.11g,
which is fast enough to stream all the music you want to stream.
Oh yeah.
This is an older device then.
Yeah, it is. They're discontinued.
When did they come out?
Don't know. But there's another one.
Do you ever hear of the Sea Crane?
Yeah, they're very expensive.
$119.
Then they've come down.
Yep.
Yeah, the other one I'm familiar with is Grace Digital. My guess is that Grace took Logitech's place, or Logitech may even have been a repackaged Grace or something. I don't know.
Well,
Here's the Grace digital Wi-Fi music player with 3.5-inch color screen, $159, $156, $157 in stock at Amazon.
something along the same line here. It says when you got a set-top box for your TV, you might want to watch some live TV, right? Google hasn't said much about Android TV's live capabilities, but a new Google-built app appeared in the Play Store today that promises the ability to watch traditional TV channels using a traditional or IP-based tuner. First spotted by Android police, the app doesn't seem to do much right now and isn't compatible with phones or tablets. In fact, it currently can't be opened on Android TV. There's no mention of traditional TV watching on the Nexus TV website, nor are there any accessories that would allow you to get a TV signal into your device yet. However, this is good sign it'll be landing soon. So if you're going to be able to watch off the air TV on your phone or tablet or TV at home, wow. That
Yeah.
would be nice.
I forgot to mention I ended up getting an iPhone 6 Plus after our discussion last week. So
Must have gotten some jobs.
no,
What does it feel like to not have any money now?
You got another credit card.
All good Sunday morning.
yeah, exactly. No, my other phone kind of crapped out last week, and I couldn't send or receive any text messages, and I realized it was time.
What was it?
What, my old phone?
Yeah.
Oh, the Galaxy Note 2. But I mean, the phone came out 2011, so it's a 3-year-old phone.
Okay.
Ancient.
Yeah, and plus I bought it used. Mike, you're muted if you're trying to talk. Okay. I bought it used. It was my second one. I bought it used, and it was a 3-year-old phone. So you get what you get.
No, we certainly wouldn't want anyone to see you with a used phone.
No, I'm saying it wasn't a 3-year-old new phone. It was a 3-year-old used phone
Mm-hmm.
because it was the second one.
All right, got another question, Spence. Sometimes when we start our dishwasher, it doesn't keep running.
This is Computers 2K now.
No, it's not. It's Dishwashers 2K now.
It's got to do with computers, believe it or not.
So what causes a dishwasher to you push the start button and then it runs for a few seconds and then it quits? The only thing I can figure is the latch.
Mm-hmm. That's what I would think.
I guess Spencer's not listening.
Logic board is blown.
Well, that's not good. It works sometimes. That doesn't mean the logic board's not blown.
My
I get that.
dishwasher this morning, I just was looking at it again, and it's working fine. It's the chrome on the handle has started to peel off. Not good. I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with that.
Merle
If
said
it's
for
still
you
under
to
warranty.
upgrade to the next service pack on the dishwasher.
Yeah, that's what I need to do. Actually, what I need to do is get a grumpy cat, because the grumpy cat's owner was reported as having made $100 million,
Yeah.
even though she came back and said that that was inaccurate.
Million?
So,
Well-
the other question I would ask Nick,
What's up?
my older daughter is being asked to do some WordPress work.
Does she know WordPress?
Well, you know, and
Okay.
but here's the difference. She's very creative, really good at doing graphics things, and has, I mean, just an extraordinary talent for the art side of things that I don't have. Learning WordPress in and of itself is probably not that difficult. I mean, I can set up WordPress. It's not hard to do that. The question is, how do you go from a stock installation to a professional looking installation. And in that connection, I would ask what resources you would recommend that she would start to learn to use to learn how to work with WordPress.
Craig's digital design.
No. Give her an account on shared hosting and install WordPress and tell her to play around with it. I mean,
And then what?
just play around with it. Install
Well-
different themes, install different plugins, see what they do.
I mean, that's easy. Anybody can do that.
I mean,
But
there's really not a whole lot of tweaking that you have to do with WordPress.
Then what's the trick to making one look professional versus making one look like
Themes.
Paying for a theme.
yeah,
The
but
cost
you still,
of the cost of the work. WordPress is extremely easy to set up. People pay me to do it not because they don't know how to, because they don't want to.
right?
I mean, the cost is not me building you a custom website. It's Amnon from Delta Force doesn't have time to build a website, so he's going to outsource it.
Right, and that's kind of what it is, because there are actually a couple of other things that go along with it. That, I mean, the difference, and this is a business thing, is the difference is that anybody can learn to set up WordPress. Some people can learn to make it look great, but the real juice in having success as a WordPress developer is getting involved in the content creation if you have the ability to do that.
And Brian is saying that she needs to learn to design themes. Yeah, that's the next step. Once you've learned WordPress, start making your own custom themes, and then you can start selling those themes that you make.
All right, and he also said she needs to learn CSS. What does that mean?
The CSS, the cascading style sheets.
Right, but what does that mean? She needs to learn that. Where does
She needs
that
to-
come into play?
CSS is what styles the website.
It's the background template of how certain fonts are interpreted and
Everything is CSS now. With HTML5, everything is CSS.
And Bruce says his daughter is a Drupal or however you say it,
Drupal.
themer, and works for two big companies. She's actually on a team working on Time Warner's new website. Yeah, I mean, but the point I would think that Brian says puke, but what I'm thinking, it's probably for Time Warner, not for Drupal, but I would suspect that his daughter, being a Drupal themer, could probably pick up on a WordPress theme thing in about an hour. Because my guess is that most of these technologies work pretty much the same way. It's like a language. It's like learning C and then transitioning to another language. Once you learn how computers work, you can pick up on other opportunities pretty quickly.
Is she savvy with technology?
No.
Well, then she might have a bit of a learning curve.
No, that's why she did not go into website design when she actually created some websites 10 years ago and got paid for it. She got paid $500 to create a website, and the company used it for probably 3 or 4 years. But the problem was she didn't really want to get into learning HTML from the ground up. She had other things going on. But now with WordPress, you don't have to be an HTML coder. And at least if you do get involved in learning HTML, it's usually to solve a problem. This is too wide, this is too narrow, I'd like it to be in a little position. Then you can focus on that one aspect instead of trying to take Notepad and create an HTML website.
Exactly. I know HTML and CSS, but not to build the website, to center something or to have something align left or whatever else.
And in fact, Merle says, how about learning front page? I'm glad you put the smiley in it, but that's actually how she started and was able to get started whenever she did it, because, I mean, this was a long time ago. And now, I mean, that would be obviously silly if anybody, in fact, most servers are taking the extensions off as far as I know. I mean, that's,
Yeah, didn't eBound drop front page?
I believe they did.
No,
That's right where I heard it.
In like 2 months, 2 months ago, I think I got an email or something about it.
And so Brian's got some resources that'll help her. I mean, I don't know that she's going to get that interested in it. I'll tell you guys about some things offline that seem to make a little bit of sense, but not everyone is entrepreneurial, and it's not a good or a bad thing if you are or are not. But if you're going to come along now and do your own thing in the internet website web creation business, you'd better have an entrepreneurial spirit about you, or you're not going to be successful.
Yep. I mean, realistically though, you don't have to know programming to do WordPress.
Next question. Is there a way on Facebook to prevent people from adding you to groups?
I have no clue.
Okay, that was helpful.
I don't know. I don't use Facebook. And
Do.
no, I don't. Not
Yes,
not
do.
no, not personally. I don't. I manage a page, but I don't use it. Actually, that's not true. You're right. I do use Facebook.
I know you do. And Amnon, I read this morning that Uverse does not have the equipment necessary to monitor their data caps.
Yeah,
That's impossible.
I already got that from them.
That is impossible. That is that's such a lame excuse.
I mean, they must have something that they can monitor, because they say, they say that they will send you an email, 3 emails as you're approaching your cap, but they don't have any tool for the user to use.
Yeah, they've got something in the back end, and they just haven't translated that to the front end.
Yeah. Last story here that I have that is interesting. Not much with computers. The U.S. Navy has declared an experimental laser weapon on its afloat forward staging base in the Persian Gulf an operational asset, and U.S. Central Command has given permission to the commander of the ship to defend itself with the weapon. The 30-kilowatt laser weapon system was installed aboard USS Ponce this summer as part of a $40 million research and development effort from ONR and Naval Sea System Command to test the viability of directed energy weapons in an operational environment. No word yet on a smaller shark-mounted version. But that's interesting. I mean, we're finally getting to Star Wars stuff here. I don't know how strong is a 30K laser and how far it can do damage, but it would save a lot of money, I think.
Possibly.
No comments, huh?
Is there? I mean, what do you say?
No, I don't know.
The problem with lasers is as soon as it gets cloudy out, they're useless because it disperses all the energy.
Can it burn a hole through the cloud?
It can't. It's just because it can't. The light scatters more when that's the one defense against lasers you have is fog or smoke. It just disrupts its coherent light and it gets dispersed more. Maybe if it's strong enough, it can burn its way through it. But I remember that was one reason why it took a long time to develop these weapons, is because the logical defenses are mirror or that's why charged particle weapons they were thinking that was more valuable.
Wait a second, guys. Mike, you hear a hum?
No, I don't, but Andrew hears it, and so that's...
Merle is hearing it. Anybody on the panel?
What? Yeah, I hear it. It's really loud. I hear it.
You do? Okay, let's see something.
On the live stream.
Let me do something here and see if it's coming.
Are we done?
Well, we're kind of done.
Why don't we just wrap it up and then we can do it after?
Because I want to keep on. Oh, no, okay, yeah.
We can keep on streaming. Just end the show.
I'm just,
all
right.
I muted for a while. Did it go away?
No, it's not you. It's on the live stream.
Yeah, we need to find out.
And it's not in the Hangout.
Correct.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Amnon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You.
Thank everybody.
And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9. But you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And while you're at it, like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tonight at 8 o'clock, it's the Tanya Love Show. Tomorrow at 1, it's the Breaking Free Show. See you, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, The Tanya Love Show, Your Healthy Pet with Gisela DiCarlo. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.